What's up, folks? Welcome back to another episode of Charm City Heavyweights Podcast, brought to you by Great 8 Sports Memorabilia in Parkville, Maryland. I'm the host, Matt Trigger. With me, as always, is my co host, my sidekick, Josh Merrill. What's going on, man?
What's up, Matt? Coming live from the man cave. The show tonight is about the Orioles. If you're not excited about the Orioles, then you need to go make sure you got a pulse, make sure you're alive.
Absolutely. And before we get started on the Oriole talk, we are having our first opposing team preview show that we did all last year. It'll be the first one
Yep.
of 2023. We are going to be having the Just Fans podcast as our guests this coming Thursday night at
And we're
9:30
coming at
Eastern.
them.
We will
And
be
we're coming at
previewing
them.
the we will be we are going to be previewing the Ravens and Texans season opener at 1 p.m. on Sunday, which I'm looking forward to. Josh, I know you are as well. It's going to be the first time we've seen majority of the starters play in a game. So
Exciting. I
I'm
love
gonna
this, man. I love this.
yes, and I know that tonight is all about Birdland. Last couple of shows have been Ravens heavy to say the least. Um, I kind of want to start off the show by saying that passing the 2022 win total this week with a month to go is quite exciting. I'm not saying we're going to be a 100 win ball team because that will require us to go win 75% of our games for the month of
They just got to
September.
go 500, I believe. Is that right? Don't they just got to go 500?
I think it's slightly above, but I'm I'm not even anticipating 100 wins. I would be cool with 94 to 93, 94 wins. I think that's kind of our sweet spot. I'm really enjoying it. Watching these guys play, listening to them on the radio whenever I'm out and about. It's been refreshing. I know John Means is starting another game down in Norfolk before he comes up to the big league
Yeah,
club,
I'm
which
about over the John Means train, man. We need to get his ass up or shut him down.
I
I'm sick
do.
of talking about it. I'm sick of hearing it. I'm sick of reading about it. I'm sick of talking about it on this show. Come
Yeah,
on, bring him up, man. We're in the thick of it. We can smell fucking blood in the water. Tampa Bay, they got this outside shit going on with the guy dating 10-year-olds or whatever the fuck he was doing. They've been losing a little bit, man. There's blood in the water. It's time we got to fucking get on top of them and we got to pound them down.
yeah, and the thing
You
is,
only get a chance to win the East, man. It's not going to happen every fucking year. It's not going to be like this all the
I
time.
know,
So
I know that, I know
this
that.
is the time,
We have
man.
our
Like he's got to come up, or we need that spot for someone else.
we have our largest lead in the AL East that we've had all year at 3.5 games. The
Matt,
boys are
you've been
looking
talking about
good.
John Means all year.
I know. I truly thought that it was going to be one of those situations where we were going to see him around the beginning of August, and they've really been taking him slow. And I know he had an oblique injury that kind of set his timetable back, but I don't think it should have set him back as much as it did. And he's finally getting up into the 80, 85 pitch range, and they're trying to stretch him out. He needs to get here because the 6 man rotation is starting to take a little bit of a pummeling. Um, Kyle Gibson, even though he's been a bulldog all year, he's really starting to kind of show his wear and tear and his age a little bit. And I hate that I'm saying this, and this has been the first time that I've actually heard Lockenfora criticize the Orioles in this manner, but the Jack Flaherty trade just does not look like it's working out right this second. I want him
Well,
to
we
go
all
out
knew
there.
that. I mean, it was a bullshit trade, dude. I mean, what were we really expecting? I mean,
I'm
Lockeforta
not
kind of
saying it was a.
pissed me off
I'm
with
not. I
that.
wasn't expecting him to
I
be.
heard him, but I mean, come on, we know what the trade was. The guy's had an injury past. He's never been great consistently. He's a guy that may be able to string together a few good games here, a few good games there, but he's not a consistent guy. He never has been. He's never lived up to the potential he had. He was a top prospect coming in, so we expected he got fucking hurt. I mean. He looked great the first start. What was that in Toronto? I mean, he looked dominant. Like, damn, could he be one of these guys we grab? And it's a nobody nothing trade kind of thing. And can he pan out to be the man? But nah, it ain't happening, bro. He is what he is. Come on.
And the thing is, I hate to agree with Lockenfora because he's almost insufferable these days, and he's starting to
terrible.
influence Ken Wyman a whole lot.
He's like that's because he's like a black
King
hole,
isn't really-
man. He's sucking Ken in. He's like a black hole. He's
Yeah.
sucking him in.
And it's just crazy how I agree with him that the Flaherty thing just isn't panning out, and we should have done more at the deadline, and we should have done more to secure the longevity of this team for the rest of the year. And we're looking a little bit beat up going into it in terms of the pitching staff and the bullpen. The offense is still the offense, you know.
Matt, I hear you,
I
and listen, man, I hear you, and I'm not saying I disagree with you. And I know a few minutes ago I just said, you only get certain shots to win this division and go on a run. But I think the front office, Mike Elias, it's either, it can be two things. Either the owner is saying not right now, not yet, or he's thinking, look, we're fucking maybe 2 years ahead of schedule here. Let's ride this wave before we start dropping money. I think that the answer to the story, the answer to the question, we're all going to find out this offseason. If they don't spend any money this offseason, if they don't bring in a pitcher, a reliever, add another left-handed bat to the lineup, or extend Mullins, if they don't show they're going to start paying, the fans are going to start bitching. So we're going to see, man, this offseason is going to tell a tale of what's going to happen here.
It really is. And the thing is, I'm not even looking forward to the offseason because that means the season's over. I'm expecting to talk about the offseason in early November.
Because we're winning the World Series.
I want us to, because like you said, this doesn't come around very often, and you got to.
Nope.
And the thing is, you got to strike while the iron's hot. I'm surprised that Elias didn't jump on somebody like Giolito after the Angels waived him. And I know we jumped on Jorge Lopez, and we completely fleeced the
I mean, I
Twins at
didn't
that
expect
point.
a blockbuster trade, but I expected a little bit more of a higher caliber player.
I was expecting Montgomery.
Flaherty. Somebody like Montgomery, he's not going to break the needle, but he doesn't hurt you either. He's someone decent.
Montgomery's been pitching lights out for the Texas Rangers.
Yeah. And he's an innings eater. He's an innings eater, right?
He is. He's an innings eater, and he's been pitching very well in Texas. I just feel like, this is our opportunity right here because, like you said, the East is a very tough division, and you never know how the other four teams are going to retool in the offseason. So, yeah, I'm starting to worry that we're going into the playoffs with, I'm not worried about Grayson. Grayson's really settled down. I'm not worried about Bradish.
But you know what, though, dude? I'm not, because, listen, bro, it's a 162 game season, whatever the hell it is. Everybody's going to be big. I mean, come on. I mean, it's not an excuse to me. I think the bullpen has been lights out all season. I know they've had bumps, and we've had a few series here and there where we all get worried about the bullpen. And I know Batista's hurt, and they're not really saying much about it, which is really scary. But I think we got enough to do it. I would have, like we just said, I would have liked to have added pieces. Of course, we all would have. But right now, it is what it is. They're still winning. They haven't been been swept in the series. I don't know how many games it is now, but it's a lot. Never heard of anything like that.
I think it's been close to 80 series or 83 series, something like that.
Something like that. It's in that range, yeah. This team, right? I'm just trying to enjoy it, dude. It's a beautiful thing. And if we go this whole show and don't talk about Gunnar Henderson, shame on us. They should shut our show down.
I think we really got to talk about the more pressing issues before we talk about the AL Rookie of the Year.
There's not a lot of bad to talk about. Let's be honest. There's not a lot of bad to talk about.
It's nothing. It's not. I'm not saying it's bad as much as it is worrisome. Let me ask you a question though. Let's be fair. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
It's the middle of October. And our rotation is Bradish, Rodriguez, and Kramer, and then you got to throw somebody like Irvin or Flaherty or Gibson at that 4 spot. And
Yeah.
we're seeing the Houston Astros or the Texas Rangers, and they're trotting out Max Scherzer and Jordan Montgomery back to back, and we're trotting out Cole Irvin and Kyle Gibson on that back end when the game when the series is on the line. And you really that's what worries me, Josh. I'm not worried about the offense. I'm not worried about like now you got to make some really tough decisions, and
I hear you.
It should be all hands on deck. The best pitchers in the organization should be on the playoff roster. I don't care if you're a starter or a reliever. Your title should not mean anything in the postseason. When it comes to October baseball, I don't care how many starters you had in AA and AAA. If you had a great ERA and you had a great year, you should be on the major league team, ready to contribute and give us innings. That's the beginning and the end of it.
I agree.
And I like what I've seen out of
how much
so
do you want to? But how much do you want to tinker with something that's probably going to get you a 100 win season? How much do you really? Because I hear the guys you're saying, and I know it's a long year and they're tired, and Gibbons is old. I get all that, but we've been going. It's been that way all year, man. This team just fights.
But when you get to the playoffs,
and I know it's a different.
The record's out the window. The record's out the window.
What we going to do? We can't trade anybody now.
We
got to ride what we got.
I'm not saying that we can't. We have to make a trade because it's impossible. But what I'm saying is, you really got to take it as a all or nothing type of situation. Some of the guys in our bullpen have been getting shelled, and then there's guys that go out there and are completely consistent. You know it as well as I do. I don't think we can afford to have Baker on the playoff roster, even though he's down in the minors now. You can't afford to have Baumann down there. Perez has pitched better as of late, so you can keep him as your lefty.
Perez has been all right for a while, man.
Yeah, he's been.
I was down on him. Same on me, and
we were both down on him. I totally agree with you.
He's turned it around, but that's what he does, though, right? He gets hot for a while, and then he cools off. But
he does.
He's riding hot right now.
But you got to think about it. You're essentially going to have a 9-man bullpen. You're going to have 4 starters, and you're going to have 2 long guys. So you really got to figure it out. Means needs to be on the postseason roster. I don't care if he hasn't pitched all year. Means deserves a spot because Means was our steadiest pitcher during those shitty rebuild years where we were losing 90 to 100 games. So yes, Means deserves to be.
Yeah, I think
on the team come October.
I think the only thing that keeps him off that roster is if unforeseen injury, something crazy like that. I don't think there's any way he's not going to be there.
I agree with you. We're almost a week into September, and we're still playing good baseball. We played the Angels tough. We're in the midst of a road stretch right now. I'm not worried as much about the offense because it doesn't really matter what lineup they trot with. Hyde trots out there every night. Them boys can hit, and it all starts with number 2. Gunnar Henderson is just playing at a different level right now. It's crazy how good he is.
You can't describe it. It's he's better. He's the best player in baseball by far. It's just he's doing things I've never seen. Let me tell you something. That play he made in left field and then threw the guy out at home the other day, I never seen nothing like that in my life. For one, he had no business even being there to get that ball, and for 2, the end gun the guy. I've never seen him. That might have been the greatest baseball play I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's just crazy, and he's only going to get better. Adley has still remained consistent. We're getting production from O'Hearn. We're getting production from Mountcastle. We're getting production from. There's not anybody that's really not pulling their weight in the lineup, and I know that it's kind of tough.
Mateo, but he had a hit last night.
Yeah, I know why they're keeping. We both know why they're keeping Mateo around here now because if he's not going to start in the postseason, if you have a situation where you're tied up in the eighth inning and McCann gets you a double, you don't want McCann running the bases,
No.
or you don't want Adam Frazier. I mean, you want Adam Frazier on the base path, but if you got like Mountcastle or O'Hearn out there, Mateo's the guy you substitute in as a pitch runner and you let him fly. So that's completely understandable. You and I have both been lamenting that he's been a part of the roster. We thought that he was going to get traded for sure. I thought 100% he was going to get traded, and they kept him. They kept Urias. Urias has been a fantastic, backup infielder. He can pretty much play all infield positions, and the dude is serviceable. He's still got some pop in the bat. He just hasn't been as consistent this year as he was last year. But I think that guys like O'Hearn and Gunnar and Adley remaining consistent kind of, buffers and softens that situation a little bit.
Oh yeah, it definitely helps. I mean, these guys are the future of the franchise, man. Adley, I mean, he may not be hitting the power that we all thought he was going to be, but like you said, he's consistent. He's amazing behind the plate. Gunnar, Mullins, these guys are staples. I was hard on Mountie for a while, and I actually gave up on Mountie. But Mountie,
we both did. That's not just you, buddy.
Mountie has been playing since he's come back from gangrene, whatever the hell he had. He has been lights out.
Vertigo,
which is really ugly, I know, and painful and hard to deal with, and the side effects can last forever. But since then, he has been lights out. Having to share his spot with oh my God, his name just left my mind. O'Hearn, had to share a spot with it, but still, they're both playing lights out, and they've made it work. I think Brandon Hyde should be manager of the year. I think this guy deserves to be running the ship into the foreseeable future. What he's done is just unbelievable.
And it's crazy because 5 months ago, we were questioning whether or not Hyde should be, steering the ship, and he got pummeled with questions about the handling of the bullpen earlier on in the year. But he's a fantastic manager. I'm not going to say that he's the greatest manager the Orioles have ever had, but he's been a breath of fresh air in the post-Buck Showalter, era, and I think that he fully deserves to see this through however long that may be. But as long as his Orioles team is good, Hyde should be sitting on that bench making the decisions night after night, and I wholeheartedly agree with that.
I agree with that too, man. The managers that I always thought were great managers, especially in baseball, they have that pulse, that rhythm on the team, man, and he's hot right now. Buck Showalter, I always thought was good at it. There's a few managers, throughout history, but that's the good ones, man. And I'm trying to say he has that quality where he can feel it, man. It's like a rhythm, and baseball players know what I mean. It's like a rhythm and a feel, and he's got it. He's got it 100%.
He almost gives you shades of Francona with the Indians years ago.
Yeah, definitely. He just
has with that young Indians team.
Yep, and he knows who's hot. He knows the hot hand. Does he have analytics guys feeding him info? Of course, but ultimately it's his decision that he's got to live or die with. If he's wrong, everybody's going to shit on him, and he sucks. And if he's right, we're talking great about him right now. So, I'm just enjoying this, man. I just want to enjoy it. I know this is a show, and we got to go back and forth, the good and the bad, but I've been waiting for this my whole life. I mean, I remember the late 90s teams vaguely, but I mean, not vaguely. I remember it. And then we went all those years to 2012 when we got back in the playoffs. Is that what it was? 2012?
98 to 2012. That was a 14-year stretch.
Yeah, and then we had 3 playoffs under Buck, I think, and then we had a nice little drought until we hired Elias, and how quick has he got this turned around, man? Gotta hope we can keep him. I know we're all worried about keeping Adley and Gunnar and Mullins and all these guys, but give Mike Elias a 100-year contract, employ his fucking whoever his kids are for when they grow up, because they'll have the same brain cells as him. genetics, and they can, because what he has done, man, he has not missed a fucking a beat. You can say what you want about trades. I take that with a grain of salt, man, because we don't know what goes on behind the doors. We don't know what DeAngelo's family is telling him he can spend. We don't have any clue about anything like that, so we don't know what he's up against. They may have he may have said, "Hey, can I make a move here? Maybe a high salary guy. We got to give up some prospects," and they may have said, "No, not right now." You never know, dude. You never know, especially with this family.
Yeah, there's another player I want to bring up that we haven't talked about, who's really kind of been the glue, and he's been here throughout the course of the rebuild. Anthony Santander. We seem to gloss over him when we're talking about consistent production on the Orioles lineup, and he is, if anything, the beacon of consistency. The dude is good. He's
absolutely, and he's a homegrown guy. I think he
yes.
started out with the Phillies organization, but he's been with the Orioles since like 2016 in our system. So he's came up. He knew guys like Adam Jones that were still around. Some of them guys that were been long time Orioles. So he's completely seen this develop and turn. And dude, he is fucking solid, man. I used to be scared to death of him playing right field, but he's made a hell of a few hell of crazy defensive play. That one crazy shit over his head. But he is solid, man. He is a solid fucking hitter, man. I like Santander, and shame on both of us. They should pull this show off the air immediately for forgetting Santander.
Yes, he's been fantastic from both sides of the plate.
What is wrong with us?
I like him, man. When Mountcastle got hurt, I was for giving that outfield spot to somebody like Hicks and letting Santander get some play at first base. And then
Hicks just looks old, man. He just looks like he's about to pull a hammy out there.
Yeah, and the thing, and he was electric.
He's a Yankee, man. I have a hard time with Hicks. I ain't gonna lie. I don't
have a hard time, because the thing is, at the end of the day, he came over here after the Yankees cut him, and he gave us that electricity for a couple weeks. He played well enough to maintain a roster spot for the rest of the year, and he's one of those guys that needs to be on your bench to where he can give you a spark at the plate, as a pinch hitter, or that he's a reliable outfielder, at least in the corners.
As long as you don't have to dive.
Yeah, as long as you don't got to, stride and dive, he's fine. Keep him on his 2 feet. I like Aaron Hicks. I understand your, your trepidation because he's a former Yankee, but he wasn't one of those Bronx Bomber former, Oriole killer Yankees. He just took the money and went there. And you and I if we were both in the same position, no matter where we're from or what we do, if the Yankees came calling with a $70 million guaranteed contract, we're signing it.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm not worried about that. I'm curious as to what they're going to do with the playoff roster in terms of the backups with the outfielders. I don't want to see Cowser up there for the simple fact that he struggles hitting major league pitching right now. He's been struggling with it all ever since he got called up. We were banging on the table for him to get called up, and
he's not ready.
When you're not batting your body weight, it's a little dicey. It's a little dicey. Yeah. So that's one of those situations where you got to figure out who's going to be your fourth and fifth outfielders. Are you going to go with a super utility guy that can play? Like Adam Frazier should make the postseason roster because he plays second, short, third, left, and right field. He's a super utility guy. Plus, he's got some pop from the left side of the plate. So I don't think they're going to keep him off the roster.
No, I don't know, Matt. I would just like to add a few pieces, keep what we got while it's hot, man. Fuck it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, in 3 weeks they got to make some very tough decisions.
Hey, look, Mike, more power to him. I trust what he says. If that man says peanut butter, if that man says shit tastes like peanut butter and jelly, I'm eating a shit sandwich. Because everything he does works somehow.
Yeah, it's scary.
This fucking outfielder he drafted this year in the draft is probably going to be the next Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah, that kid's good. Speaking of
Bad.
guys in the minor leagues, Jackson Holiday is now in Norfolk.
Yes, he is.
Incredible.
That dude is going to be on the team this year.
That dude started the year in Aberdeen.
Yeah, he's a
He
freak,
was in
man.
low A.
Dude, I want to get that. I don't want to do it now because it's too late in the season. But next year, I want to get that app where you can watch all the minor. That's twice we mentioned this fucker's name on our show. Jason Lacafora, whatever his name is, always talks about it. But there's an app you can get on where you can buy it anyway. It's a subscription, but you get all the minor league games throughout baseball, every single one.
I think it's called MILB TV, and
I want to do that.
Yeah, I mean that's a good idea. I just
Because
think
if
that
you
we're
don't
gonna
go
be,
to the games, like, when they're local, when he was in Aberdeen, or which shame on me because I wanted to see him there so bad, or Bowie or wherever. It's just because we watch it on YouTube. That's all I really see is I try to watch him on YouTube. So from what I've seen on YouTube and what I read, the dude is a fucking monster.
I'm convinced though that Holiday is our opening day shortstop.
He needs to be protected. What, you think next year?
Next year.
Woo!
Here's the thing. Eventually, they're going to have to stop worrying about the goddamn service time and get these guys up here that need to be up here.
That's the shitty part about baseball.
It's the shitty part. No, I agree with you. It's a shitty part about baseball. But Holiday is going to be the only person that can make Gunnar Henderson be a full-time third baseman in this organization.
That's very true.
Westberg's going to lock down second base for the foreseeable future. Mountcastle's at first. This team can remain the same, and you could probably add a power bat that's going to play a corner outfield spot or DH. But this team doesn't need a whole lot offensively. You want more production out of your second baseman, but I think Westberg getting his reps and
Westberg's coming along. I'm not worried about Westberg at all.
I think when I went to the game last weekend, I think he was hitting like 260, which is pretty good for platooning with Frazier.
And he's made some great defensive plays as well, Westberg. Let's not forget to mention that. Him and Mateo turned a double play yesterday. It's like, how the fuck do you even do that?
Yeah, I'm happy with his defensive play. I think we're going to be in a good shape. I'm just worried about this rotation. That's the only thing that really scares me is who do you got after the first three. Bradish is the number one. Bradish is the number one on 20 Major League Baseball.
I love Bradish.
Bradish is a fucking animal.
Bradish. He wants to win a ring. Like he openly has said it this season. I want to win a championship.
Grayson, number 2.
When's the last time you heard a fucking current Oriole say some shit like that?
Right. Bradish is your 1. Grayson is your 2. Kramer is your 3. And when Kramer's on, he's absolutely filthy. He's incredible to watch.
He's pitching tonight.
I know.
Dude does not look like a major league pitcher.
Yeah,
but somehow, man, he's you know what Kramer is? He's consistent. Yeah, he's going to give up 2-3 runs, but that's all he gives up, and he settles back down, and that's what great pitchers do, and that's one of the things I like about Kramer is he settles back down, man. He's able to. I know I should have said this earlier when we were talking about Flaherty. That's something I haven't seen Flaherty be able to do. When he gets in jams, it doesn't seem like he can get out of it or he doesn't settle down. And by the time he settles down, he done gave up 6 runs. Good pitchers like Bradish and his name just left my mind again. What's his name tonight? They can do that, they can come back, and just be consistent. And that's what gets pitchers paid in this league. You're going to have your superstars, but being consistent can keep you in this league for a very long time.
I know we're circling back to Flaherty, and I hate that this is the third time that Jason Lockenford has come up in the conversation.
Wow.
And he's right. He said that earlier, and I've thought about it, and I actually did some research. That Flaherty is holding on to the idea that he's still that Cy Young contender pitcher, and that he's not an elite ace. And Jason's right. Flaherty was a Cy Young contender 3-4 seasons ago, and
He
now
was.
he's in his mid to late, or shooting into the late 20s now, which should be a pitcher's prime. He doesn't throw 95, 96, 97. He
He was
hovers
a top
around
prospect, high draft pick, dude. He was supposed to be
the
an
guy.
ace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he floats around 92 to 94 on the fastball. And
Injuries.
but he doesn't he hasn't found like that out pitch yet. And Lockenfort is right. His last 5 starts, he's got an almost 9 ERA. It's like an 8.45, which is absolutely bonkers. And I don't know if you want to trot him out there in Game 4, if it's if you're down 2-1 or if you're up 2-1 and you need somebody to shut it out and close it out. But I don't. The thing is, do you know for a fact that Flaherty is going to be one of those guys that says, "I'm not pitching out of the bullpen. You might as well not put me on the roster."
He might be, and
we don't know that about
shame
him.
on him. Yeah, we don't. But if he does, shame on him. I mean, who wouldn't want to?
And I don't want to say that he's never given an inkling that he would do that. I don't know. We don't know him well enough to really know for a fact if he would sit in the bullpen and pitch and come out there and give us a solid inning or two every night.
I mean, you're calling the man's character in front of millions of people watching this podcast.
Yeah, millions. But yeah, I'm cautiously,
How you think the cave gets funded with all this beautiful memorabilia?
I'm not going to air out how you do it because your wife will whoop your ass, but that's neither here nor there.
Yes, go ahead.
But yeah, I know we talked, a little bit about everything that's going on with the Orioles right now.
Let's go O's. Game's on now, people. Turn it on.
Yes,
I gotta get up early too. I gotta get up early, but I'm staying up watching the game because I'm a man.
We both got to get up early. We're gonna wrap the show up. We will be back in 2 nights, Josh. We are gonna do our
nights.
first.
Look, then, yeah. I'll say my spiel when it's my turn. Sorry, go ahead.
You're fine, my man. But hey, we got our first season preview show. Looking forward to talking to the Texans guys. Got some pretty cool guests that we're going to have on the show coming up soon. Can't wait for the start of the season. Thursday night is some meaningful football. I avoided drafting Travis Kelce in all 3 of my fantasy leagues. He hyperextended his knee, so they don't know how long he's going to be out. But Josh, go ahead and wrap this show up, man.
All right, Ravens fans, Orioles fan. It's a great time to be a Baltimore sports fan. The Orioles are the shit. The Ravens are about to be the shit, and they're about to show the league. This show coming up in 2 nights Thursday with these Texans dudes. Let me explain something to the people who didn't watch last year. Football is a different animal. Baseball is mellow. Football is up here. It's going to be a war. We need people on here commenting because there are people maybe on there commenting. Let them know that we're the Baltimore Ravens. We win Super Bowls, so the Texans never won nothing. Shut the fucking show down. Good night, everyone.